Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Kurt, aka the Vitruvian Gamer, and we're here with the third part of my top 100 of board games of all time that I've played so far, and that it's at this moment in time. So it's it's a list that is about now, the games that I like now. So without further ado, let's get into it because we have a lot of things to cover again, and we start, of course, with number 80, which is number 1322 on Board Game Geek. So somehow I like it quite a bit more than most of the people on Board Game Geek do. Last year though, it was my number 64, so we dropped 16 spots. Not a big deal. I haven't played it that much, that's why probably, but I do love the theme so much. I'm talking about Police Precinct. This is a cooperative game where each player is a detective. You're driving around this city that apparently has a lot of problems, a lot of crime, a lot of accidents. Somehow, in the meantime, there is also a murderer running around, and you're trying to figure out who it is by getting some clues during the game. And you have a certain amount of time to do so while you try to get, well, the city not to run crazy and to have too much crime running around. But I like this theme so much. Being a police, I wish they made a game like this, but better, because it's not the best game. It's a little bit fiddly. There is a new edition that got kickstarted, I think, 2 years ago already, which looks a little bit better. Not that great also either, and it's probably more streamlined. But I already had these copies, so I didn't want to get a new one. But I love the theme. Police Precinct, my number 80. Not on number 80 anymore, and also not in my collection anymore, is La Granja, as people say, is a good game. It's a really good game. It uses dice drafting. I love dice drafting. It uses multi-use cards. I love multi-use cards, but somehow it didn't click enough for me. I felt a little bit too confined in my actions. The market actions where you have to get majority in the market felt a little bit tacked on, so that's why I don't love it as I used to do the first times. So that's also why it's not in my collection anymore, but it is a very good game though. Number 79 is new to the list. It's 153 on Board Game Geek, so highly rated. Now this is a game, I think it's based on a video game that's also highly regarded. A very dark theme, folks. It's not a game that makes you happy. You're trying to survive in a war. And which war? Well, in this war of mine. This is a big game. It has a big game board of your house, this old house or this house that is a ruin, half of a ruin, where you're trying to survive. You're going with you have a few survivors, your player with miniatures, and you're building items. You're trying to scavenge for items in the house, but you're also going to go out there on the streets, which is of course very dangerous to certain locations, and there is a storybook included. So each time you go somewhere, you roll some dice, you get the result, you read the paragraph. You might get more choices, you might get stuff, you might get wounded, you might die. And this is a game of survival. It's dark, it's heavy, but it's a work of art, a work of love for the team. So a very, very cool game. I should do a playthrough someday on the channel, but there are so many games that I should do a playthrough of. We'll see what happens. But this war of mine, very good game. New to the list on 79. Number 78 was number 35 last time, 2 years ago. It was very new at that moment in time. Blew everybody's mind, to be honest, especially because the price and the production. Because it wasn't that expensive and the production value is out of the roof. Since then, there hasn't been any game with that amount of production value for that price. And I'm talking about, and this is a big one, folks, I'm talking about Mechs versus Minions, which is made by the people who run or who do League of Legends, and they are board game players. and they wanted to make a board game. And that's what they did. They skipped everything that costs too much money to get it out to people. They just did it themselves. So it was affordable. It's filled with minis. Okay, most of them are the same minis, although the player minis, they are even pre-painted. There is one big piece in it I haven't seen yet because I haven't played this a lot yet. Because that's the one downside of this game. It is kind of a tower defense game, and I don't like tower defense games. But I do like the gameplay of it. So in this game you have a timer, and that time makes you draft cards, but you have to decide together with your teammates which cards, who will get which card and stuff like that, and then you're programming. So it's also a programming game. Very cool system, very cool, although I wish it was something else than tower defense, but still good enough to be my top 100 at 78. And let's put this out of the way. Whew, yeah, you might have noticed this pile was gone. That's because I had to dig up Mechs versus Minions, and there were some big heavy games on top of it. Alright, not in the list anymore. It was 78 last year. Oh, by the way, Mechs vs. Minions number 30 on Board Game Geek, so people still love it, this game. Battlestar Galactica, the board game, has left just because I cannot play this. I think you need at least 5 or 6 players to really enjoy this game to the fullest. I really like it. I love the team. This is one of the few, or maybe the only one, hidden traitor thingies games that I really like, but I just can't get it to the table. That's why it left the top 100. I still highly rate it though. Really cool game. If you love the team and the gameplay, great game. Number 77 was number 76 last year, so it dropped one spot, which is pretty cool. It's good, it's doing well. It's one of those games that probably will stay on the list for a while. It is 173 on Board Game Geek, so I rate a little bit better than most people do. And this is Alien Frontiers. I talk a lot about loving dice placement. This is dice placement to its fullest. You have a certain amount of dice, you roll them, and you get to place them on different spots on the board, activating those spaces, getting resources, trying to gain control over the planet here in the middle, over areas there, trying to score points that way, or influence, or I'm not sure what they call it, but you have this track that you go up and down on, and at the end of the game, you want to be the highest on the track. This is the mother of Kickstarters, if you wish to call it something. This was the first really successful Kickstarter board game. And since then, Kickstarter has grown and grown and has gone completely bananas. Alien Frontiers, I like it quite a bit. Alright, next, 76, new to the list, not new in my collection, have it for a few years now. Apparently I like it quite a bit, which is a surprise that is so high. It's, first of all, it's only 1850 on Board Game Geek, so I like it way more than most people. Second of all, it is a roll and write game. And in this day of age, where roll and write games are so popular and are so good, because there are some really good new roll and writes that came out in 2018, and the year before that as well, it still holds. For me, it still holds, and that's Saint Malo, I don't know how to pronounce it. In this game, well, it's rolling right, so you're rolling dice, Yahtzee style, you have to roll, you can re-roll, and then you are going to use one type of result, so the other ones get ignored, and you are, well, drawing things on a board. And they score depending on certain things, depending on what you are writing. Some score at the end of the game, some score immediately, some give you money, some give you wood. But there are also swords as a result. Those are pirates. You want to build defense, you want to build a wall around your area, your city, and maybe some soldiers. But you only have that much space, so you have to choose very wisely really cool roll and write game. It still holds up for me. It is my number 76. Number 75. Let's go back to a Stefan Feld game, right? I think it's only the second one so far. Roma, we had 2 games leaving the list, but this is a new one, brand new, from this year or from 2018. A heavy Stefan Feld game, although I still think it's not that heavy. There are heavier games that he made. It's just harder to. It's one of those games that takes a while to explain to new players or takes a while to learn yourself. But once you're playing and you know how the game flows, it's not that hard. And I'm talking about Forum Trajanum, Forum whatever. But this is a game where you are building your colonia, and your colonia starts with all these tiles on it, and and it's in a grid, and each round each turn you draw 2 cards, and each grid has a symbol, a picture depicting it. So you choose one of those face down tiles of that row or column from that symbol, and you choose one of those 2 tiles because you have 2 in each round, and you'd give the other one to the other player or to the player next to you, and so you will get again the one you chosen and the other one that you got. You choose one of those to use, and it can give you workers, it can give you coins, it can move you up a certain track, and that way you're trying to score points. This is a Stefan Feld game. Although points are not as high as most of his games, there are still a lot of ways, a lot of things going on, a lot of tracks, a lot of ways to improve your abilities, improve your points, and that kind of jazz. Really like this game. Forum Trajanum, I'm guessing this will be higher next time. I think so. It has a lot of potential, but I need to play it more. I only played 2-player. I need to find out how the 3 or 4-player game works as well. At the moment I researched it, it was number 2142 on Board Game Geek, and I believe that's the lowest rated on from my complete top 100. I think so. I think it was, but it might rise very quickly on Board Game Geek in the near future as well. Number 74 was number 23 last year, so he dropped 51 spots 2 years ago. It was a brand new game. I really liked it, but the theme really hurts this game for the people I play with. I still like it quite a bit, but not all of people that I play with do. And I'm talking about 51st State, which is the first Portal Games game we meet in this top 100. As you know, I demo for Portal Games, so I might be a little bit biased, but I'm not. So as this shows, this dropped 51 This dropped 51 spots. I didn't even realize. So 51 spots lower is 51st State. Now this is a game that had a first edition. Then they made Imperial Settlers based on 51st State. And then they made 51st State the complete master set. And they changed it with the help of Imperial Settlers. And it's a tableau building, engine building game. And it's very fun. The choices you have to make are cool. Some engines work, but sometimes it stops working. You have to find alternatives, build it up again. If a player gets too powerful, you will have to attack him to destroy a car, to get that engine destroyed a little bit. And some players have difficulties with that, and that's why I don't get it to the table as much as I want to. It's also a little bit more, it takes longer to get the resources you need to do certain stuff. So it feels a little bit slower than Imperial Settlers, and that's why I guess it's not as high on Board Game Geek as Imperial Settlers is. It is 271, by the way. But still in my top 100 at 74, 51st State. Really, dropped 51 places. I don't know how that happened. Not on 74 anymore. It's a very popular game, but somehow I cannot. It feels so fiddly to me. Even with the app, I cannot seem to grasp it completely, and I'm talking about Imperial Assault, the big Star Wars game that uses a little bit of the Descent style idea of the game. And in this game you are doing campaigns. It used to be only with Game Master, the evil dude, playing against other players, or other players playing against one bad player. But now they have an app that takes the place of that one player, the bad one. But still, there are so tiny movement rules and line of sight rules that it just doesn't keep clicking with me somehow, and I really want to love this game because it looks phenomenal. The Star Wars theme is great. I bought a lot of expansion packs with new miniatures for it, but this one is for sale at this moment because I just can't get it to the table, sadly enough. Alright, next one, number 73, Stefan Feld game number 3 on the list. Also a new one from 2018. It is 1035 on Board Game Geek, so it already got some more love than Forum Trajanum. I'm not sure which one will end up highest at the end of their travels on the geek list, but I'm very curious about that. But this time I'm talking about Carpe Diem by Ravensburger. This is a game. It's a tile placement game. So each time it's your turn, you move your player marker to a different location through a line which is a pentagram shaped lines. So you only can go to 2 spots. On that spot you choose one of the still available tiles, and you can place that tile in your tableau. And you're trying to make buildings of a certain type, giving you bonuses. The tableau itself has a frame around it that in certain columns wants you to build certain types of buildings. If you do, you score bonus points at the end of the game. And at the end of each round, you're going to put a marker, depending when you can in player order, and you can advance your marker on the player order track. You're going to place it between 2 cards on a tableau with scoring cards, and you're going to score those cards. If you cannot score a card, you get negative points. If you can score a card, well, you score points, of course. And that combination of 2 cards can only be activated once by one player in the whole game. So that's very interesting. So you might want to build up for a certain scoring card, but you want not to wait too long, but maybe another player will score that card already and it's gone. Very interesting. As you might have noticed, I say points a lot. Stefan Feld, folks, this gives points. You get points for a lot of things, but you can also lose points with this game. So very cool game. Why isn't it higher? Will it be higher? I'm not sure, because Ravensburger, Alea. Is Alea? Yes, an Alea game. As they do with some other great games, this production, the graphic design is so bad. The color scheme is awful. It's awful. We played mostly the people we play with the most. One of them is colorblind, and he suffered in this game. I cannot. Oh, Phantom, why they keep on doing these silly things in 2018? Unbelievable. Anyway, a game had to leave the list in order to make place for Carpe Diem. And talking about Star Wars, this is another big box. Star Wars Rebellion has gone. Why? I cannot play this game. It takes too long. I want to play it. I read the rules this year again. I thought, yes, let's play this again. I'm going to reread the rules and let's do this again. Now, that's one reason. It just isn't too long of a game for 2-player game for us. But I really loved what it does. Besides it having the chance of being a game of luck, because the Empire player, if he's lucky, he can find the Rebellion base very quickly, and that's one downside maybe. On the other hand, the story this game can tell, the alternative Star Wars story that this game can tell, is so awesome. I wish it was a little bit shorter, but it looks so cool on the table and it is awesome. This one I'm not selling yet. Imperial Assault might leave the collection soon. We'll see. Alright, next, 72 already. Getting to the end of this part of the list is a game that was number 26 last time. So it dropped 46 spaces, and it's not 46 state or something. It's number 455 on Board Game Geek. I think there is an alternative, although I think it's the same entry as Mysterium, because I'm talking about Tajemnicze Domostwo. I don't have Mysterium, which is the English revised version of this game, but I have the original, or not original, I think. This is the Portal Games version, but I think there was a Czech version first. This game is a cooperative game where one player plays the ghost of, someone who got murdered in this mansion here. And the other players are trying to figure out who really did it, because I think, no, you're playing the ghost of a wrongfully accused person. So you're trying to figure out, as in Clue, where the murder happened, what was used as a weapon, and who did it, of course. And you do that in a way that the ghost player, he gets a set of cards in their hands, and very psychedelic cards, very special drawings, like Dixit the game, if you know it. And each time so each player has his own set of 3 cards of location, weapon, and possible murder. So he's going to give clues by giving that player cards from his hand, and the other player is trying to find out what the clue has, which location is the one for him by those clues. After that, which weapon. And it's a very interesting game. As a ghost, you cannot speak, you hear all the banter, you hear all the thoughts of the players, and it can be very frustrating to hear certain ways of thinking that you weren't thinking. So very cool. Anyway, that's my number 72. Leaving the list is a golden oldie. Is Blood Bowl. Why? I just cannot get this to the table. I still love this game. I'm glad it is in my collection after I lost my old copy. I bought it again because it's a new version. I still like it quite a bit. It's probably the most violent game, or the game with the most PvP action going on that I still like, but I cannot play it enough, sadly enough. But I won't sell it. No, it stays in my collection. Then last in this part of the list is number 71. It was 88 last year, so it rose 17 spots. It is 411 on Board Game Geek, so less popular, but still it's a good 411 on Board Game Geek is very good. Don't get me wrong. In this game, you're trying to find treasures in Tobago, and in Tobago you have this island, and you're playing cards. You have different colored cubes, and they each represent the possible spot of a treasure, and you're going to play cards that has rules about that treasure on that color. And so, example, it says it's next to the biggest forest area. So you know, all right, this is the biggest forest area. Somewhere there is the treasure, and other players can add to that rule as well in their turn. So slowly but surely, you will get to only one spot. First player to get there picks up the treasure. Players who contributed to that treasure, to those rules, a bunch of rules to get to one spot, they will share the treasure. There are some curses in there as well, which is not good, of course. And at the end of the game, the player with the most treasure is the winner. Really cool game, really cool components with the stone statues. Looks colorful, very cool game. I really like it. Apparently, I grown to like it even more than I used to. And for that game, we need to say goodbye to another one. And I don't know where I put it. Oh, I think I see it. Oh, I put it far away. Yep, there it is. So, not in the list anymore is a small card game, although it takes a lot of table space for this small card game, and that's Castles of Burgundy, or the Boegen van Boegend, the card game. I really like this one, but it takes so much table space for a card game version of a game. This is the card version of a board game that I really like. Spoiler, it might be higher on the list, but if this really had a smaller footprint on the table, it would probably still in my top 100. But if I'm going to choose a game to put on a big table, then I'm going to play the original game. But I still like it. It has some cool things, cool ideas, but just not good enough anymore to make it to my top 100. So bye bye Bergen von Burgund, das Kartenspiel, and hello Tobago. Or welcome back, because it never left, honestly. Okay folks, this was my top 80 to 71. 3 parts done. 7 more to go. I hope you are enjoying it, and I hope you stay here for the next part. Feel free to comment below if you played any of these games. Tell me what you think of it. Maybe you call me crazy for Star Wars Rebellion not being in the top 100 anymore. Maybe you think, why the hell would you put Saint Malo in your top 100? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see next parts, feel free to subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.